Good afternoon. This is Craig Campbell for the GPS Business Insider, the home for business news in the Greater Palm Springs, with our guest, Bob Marra. How you doing? Marra Intel.
Good. Doing great, Craig. A big day today.
Unbelievable.
It's a really a very big day today because it's Craig's birthday. Let's just get right on to it.
That's so great.
Happy birthday,
Thank you so
Craig.
much. I really appreciate that. So, still working, still bringing you guys market intelligence information about the Coachella Valley. We started this show because there's so many things going on, of course, with the openings, and this is a hot spot, Bob. And today, you told me earlier, just before we got on, we're going to be talking a lot about the real estate market and its ups and downs, and especially the ups here in the Coachella Valley and what's driving that, and some other economic factors as well. About bringing business here during the reopening, because that's what's happening. And so lots of excitement. Desert X is in town. I happened to be just on a conference call just a little bit ago. March 12th through May 16th, the first regional art installation in a pandemic time. So this is quite a big move here for the Coachella Valley. It's going to cover over 40 miles, and they're going to have 12 different art installations throughout the Coachella Valley. I just say that because we live in such a unique spot. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you.
There's so much that we see that goes on out here. That's kind of what you would think would be an anomaly during the pandemic. The real estate market's hot. Desert X still comes and make things happen. And there are plenty of companies that are out there that had really good years for various reasons. And they've adapted. They've been creative, they've fought their way through it. And so, like I've always said, I like to look at the glass half full and try to be positive as possible while we still recognize the challenges and talk about them as well, and kind of look at things from both sides. But you're right, there's so much going on here, and with this, with the vaccinations rolling out as strongly as they have, and good job, Riverside County's really been stepping it up as best they can, and it's getting out there, and so we're seeing life, signs of life.
You mentioned Riverside County. We're still stuck in Tier 1, or the purple tier, and I always mention this. It's based on two things: positivity rates and case rates. Case rates per 100,000. We have, I think, about 2.4 million or so people in Riverside County.
That's right.
So that would be 2.4 or 240. I don't know exactly 2.4, whatever the number needs to be. And so the case rates are unfortunately high. We're in a high population area. They also kind of use a median. So
that
each
median is what worries me a little.
So we have an adjusted case number that's just sitting just above us being able to move into the red tier. We also hear, I saw some reports this morning that Governor Newsom might be actually changing once again and actually easing the 4-tier system, which I think for sure we're going to see us move into red tier here within the next week or two. That's going to change a lot of things. Restaurants are going to be open again. Museums are going to be open again. Movie theaters are going to be open again. Retail gets even bigger. The zoos, you can be back inside. And we have talk about amusement parks reopening. So all that to say, because this is breaking news as we've been speaking today.
It's important. It's critical to us, the tourism sector of this economy. We'll talk about that a little bit today. A different aspect of it than we normally do. We're talking about group business today a little bit, and how important that midweek visitation is.
Still like the convention and visitors, that type of group, planners.
Right, because it's referred to in the industry as group business, but it's conventions, corporate meetings, associations, those types of things where people gather and have trade shows, all of that. I mean, the desert is incredible at those things, and has been for decades, and so it's all shut now. But we'll get into the gory details about that too. But yeah, I'm with you on some of these numbers and the way. I'm glad to see that they'll consider adapting, because how are we going to keep the testing going? Wouldn't you rather just have people get vaccines and be vaccinated rather than getting tested when they feel good?
It's very difficult to get testing if you do feel good now, to take the time out. And it's an ongoing thing, meaning you would have to have people continue to test almost like every week, all of us. And
you get vaccinated and then you get tested, just to,
and you're going to do it every week.
Number.
And the number itself gets generated every week. It's a moving average, but because it gets generated, that even if we just all did a push for tests this week, Well, next week, because all of us are tired not testing, we would drop right back down in that adjusted case.
I'm hoping that we just get a change to the system and get us in. You think we'll be in red tier by the end of next week?
Okay, so you have to stay open for 2 weeks.
Right.
I do believe that we'll be in red tier numbers by Tuesday. It'll be reported, so could be within a week or two after that. And then once again, Friday, we're going to get an announcement, and the actual tiers and the adjustment numbers are supposedly going to be more lenient. So we might have already qualified, is the point. So
if I want to, I mean, if I even want to drive up and have dinner at French Laundry, I might be able to.
You might be able to.
Okay.
Get in.
I don't know. I'm interested. It might be a little bit difficult.
Behind us, we did this on purpose because I want to showcase really your website and why it's so important to be a part of this website. And it's really very in depth. Let's see if we can see the webpage here. Of course, you got your featured articles right here. These are the things that you've been sharing through the week.
Great article by Kate Spates, the mompreneurs. We talked about women that are business owners and moms juggling all these things and what they did during a pandemic.
Now, this is something we're going to be talking about.
This is what we want to talk about.
Median prices reached $500,000 just recently here in the Coachella Valley. That's Coachella Valley wide or Greater Palm Springs area.
527.
527.
Yeah, so who's counting? It's an unbelievable number. I mean, for someone like me that's been tracking this for better part of 2 decades, to see the median home price, and so that the median is not average; it's the median. It's the point between the highest and lowest of the sales, and it's just for 1 month, snapshot in time, and so it doesn't predict anything necessarily. It doesn't say anything other than what the homes sold for at the median in February. That's the latest.
Pulled up your article.
Okay, so if we take a look.
Here's the article. You can go right in and this is for sharing.
I think you already shared that on your Facebook site.
CoachellaValley.com's got a couple of these articles as well. You can take a look. We always feature a couple of articles each week that Bob is putting out. And let me tell you, his team, you've been prolific and putting out information.
Thanks.
We'll just start right here.
Nice shot of Palm Desert, some houses. So if you own one of these houses,
has everyone got a pool?
I think pretty much everybody has a pool here. But the median for the month of February, 527 for single family detached houses, like we saw in the photos there. For attached, which includes condominiums and townhouses, the price was $431,000 median. Okay, so here's the thing. Look, here's what we're seeing, Craig. 22%. I mean, a moving average over decades in the United States is going to fall in the 5% range for what you would expect for the appreciation of a single family home, right? 22.2%. So if you had a house that was standard type of single family house, let's say a Palm Desert home, it's 2,500 square feet, nice yard, a pool, and it stood at 431 in February 2020, right before the pandemic. You benefited in the last year by gaining an appreciation of 22% during that time period. So you could sell that house probably for 527. Okay, so don't want to beat these numbers up too much. But the other big issue is inventory. Okay, so if you talk to a realtor in a while, or if you are a realtor, you know this, but these are the stark numbers. Inventory is critical. So our number of homes, this is the combination of attached houses, the condos and townhomes, and the single family homes, okay, combined. 3,109 February 2020 available that people could look at and that are listed for sale. 902 homes as of last month listed for sale, and so that creates supply and demand. Here we go again. Supply and the demand curves are shifting up, so that the demand keeps pushing.
I mean, and that is supply is changing too. 7%, almost 2/3 down, and as a result. And when you look at the numbers, only 3,000. If you think about 3,000 units being for sale, you get some people from LA or a few urban areas coming out here. That's not very many people. It's not like 50,000 people have to move here. Right. You know, a couple thousand people buy houses here. And what we think, and I don't know how you feel about it, but it does feel that the dynamics that are causing this in our economy here are going to continue. Now, people are asking me, well, are we topped out? It's definitely moved up so quick. And there are houses that are left on the market now, interestingly, but most of those need a lot of work and they're priced not to sell, meaning they're priced at the highest, trying to get that extra $20,000. And it seems like a couple of those houses have remained, but everything else just seems to be flying off the shelf.
It is.
Have
And
we
so,
peaked, do you think, in your opinion? Or?
yeah, I do. I think so. And I think the growth in terms of price appreciation will be tight
Now,
next
is that
year.
an interest rate correlation? Is that kind of what you're thinking? That
There's so many, yeah, good question. I mean, the interest rate, so if you look at the forecast from Freddie Mac, the authority on housing, their projection is that interest rates will stay in a low environment based on what we can see from the Federal Reserve, that the Fed is saying they're going to hold tight with their zero interest rates, which keep us around 3% for, historic lows. And so they project that to stay the same through 2021 and even into 2022. Best laid plans, but that's what they are projecting. So I think in an interest rate side, that's great. Again, the desert is so different. These people, these houses that you're talking about, not the fixer-uppers, but the ones that are good. If someone comes in and puts a house up for sale, they're going to get bombarded. Some are selling in hours that are just listed. Some are selling in a couple days, but there's bidding wars. And the other thing about this, to tie in this interest rate issue, is what we've been seeing is the majority of these sales are cash buyers, okay? So then the cash buyers are coming in from the coastal communities in Northern California. They want a house out here, and they're coming in and they're just saying, I'll take it for cash, and they're putting an above price bid on it. They have been all the way through spring, summer, and so forth. And so interest rates we're really not that affected as much.
And then there's another anomaly with the modernism and just the architecture here. And then we've just seen a lot of homes, famous people, that have owned these houses in the past that are all on the market now. And they're at astronomical rates. I mean, I'm seeing some of these unique or iconic homes, we're talking where they were 2 million and people are listing them for 15 million. I mean, it's just an incredible...
It can't last like that.
That would
right?
be difficult.
Like that, it can. And so what we're seeing, just put this in perspective. This looks crazy. It looks like you maybe hold on for a couple more months. You might get $20,000 more on a $500,000 house. But what we see is that in December, January, and February, the number of sales and the median price has remained very similar. It was $525 in January, $525. So it went up almost nothing. Okay, so we're seeing a leveling off. People that are coming into the market, getting a little smarter, really checking a little bit harder now
And we
instead
have
of jumping at
vaccines,
it.
and people are starting to maybe have additional options now. In other words, where they were coming to the Coachella Valley, 100 miles directly east of Los Angeles, could drive here, everything's open. Well, meaning the land and the area, we have a lot of wide open spaces to come to during COVID. But as things are starting to open up throughout the United States, people are becoming, it seems, more comfortable, and as a result, may not just choose the Coachella Valley. Now they might escape to something else that they hadn't done in some time.
Right. And so there are a lot of these variables. And then so the supply, what could happen on supply? Well, another thing that's out there in terms of the national picture, and I think is an important issue here, and it ties in with this tourism issue that we're going to talk about, is foreclosures. Okay, the percentage of homes that are in forbearance is rising nationwide and here. And so if we don't get through this in a reasonable time period from here out, more supply, okay? And those foreclosures put downward pressure on pricing. And that's one other factor of supply. The second factor on supply is new home building. And new home builders are rushing to the cities and have been to get supply in because they're selling their houses
Real estate cycles have always been that way. It takes lead time to obviously build new houses, right? You have to procure the land. You have to, put all the things into the cities and the public, and environmental reports and all these things take years sometimes to actually, and then they have to build those homes.
And we're dealing with cut city staff in many cases throughout the region.
So it takes a little bit
coming back a
longer.
little bit. It's taking a little bit longer. In some ways, the home builders are telling me it's easier. In some ways, it's more difficult. So maybe it comes out of neutral in that regard. But we're going to start seeing a lot of supply of new housing,
and that's the way it works. So we end up with delayed supply, and supply seems to come on usually at the peaks a lot of times, and as a result, exasperating the supply end of the chain. What do you think the $1.9 trillion stimulus, or that has just passed, it's been signed once again today, I believe. How do you think that's going to impact people here in the Coachella Valley and just the business environment?
I mean, so many impacts. I mean, let's look at Riverside County getting $500 million so that they can do a wide range of things to help pay for the vaccine. So all these things, it's just money that's coming in. And so we looked at things we've talked about this in the past too, Craig, when we look at retail sales. Retail sales were up 1.5% in the third quarter, the summer, which really indicates our local buying power of our local residents was up compared to the prior year when there wasn't this little pandemic thing going on. So yes, people are staying at home more, they're spending less on restaurants, but restaurants are counted in retail sales. So they were way down. Still, the net was up 1.5%. And so how could that be? A lot of money was coming into houses, whether it was the stimulus money that came in and for every adult and for the children. And then we had the unemployment insurance, right? So the people that have gotten unemployed for a long period, for a couple months, they got $600 extra per week, which is equivalent to, you wonder, where did that number come? What about this $15 minimum wage idea? Well, if you multiply that by 40, $600. So they basically gave $600, 40 hours a week times $15 a week to anyone who's unemployed, plus the unemployment at the state. Now it's $300 plus the unemployment at the state, and it's extended. So I still think we have buying power for those that are holding on, especially in our service sector areas. And hopefully they'll be patient, because we are hearing as well labor market leakage, okay? Get up and go to Texas, get up and go to Arizona. And so restaurant workers, bartenders, banquet servers, these people that can't make it on the unemployment and have extenuating circumstances, in many cases are getting up and just leaving. Causes another problem for us. So I'm drifting around on your answer, but I think the answer is it's had a huge impact. I mean, you look around in some of the cities where, going crazy, which they should have, these budget adjustments that they were doing last spring, which they had to do, and they're all saying, wasn't nearly as bad as we thought. And then for various reasons, we got some of it back, a lot of that being this stimulus funding. So there is cash in the system. There's more coming now. We just had one in January, and not a mere $900 billion stimulus as the second one. Now the third one, we've got the Paycheck Protection Plan, so the PPP, PPP2. All this stimulus was necessary for a while, but now we're wondering, some people like me are wondering, did we need all of this in terms of the direct payments, and should they be really targeted? And I think we got more targeted. I know we got more targeted in those stimulus payments than we had before. So people with lesser income got that stimulus money. They're more likely to be unemployed, service sector workers. It seems to be pretty good in that regard. So
we're covering the real estate industry out here in the Coachella Valley. I think we did a pretty good job with that. And before we move on to our next segment, which we were going to talk about the group industry a little bit, I just wanted to see if we can go back. We're going to see if we're still online here. We may have some technical difficulties, you never know. But I wanted to show a couple more things real quick, because Bob, you get into so much technical detail that I just wanted to go over here. And I want to talk a little bit about your GPS economic monitor that just came up here. This is why don't you tell me exactly what this is. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because if you really want to get into the depth of the intelligence and the information, you're a business owner or planner or real estate developer, on and on, anybody that wants to know the in-depth information of this very rich, robust website. He has a newsletter that really gets into all the details. And here it is. It's called the GPS Economic Monitor, Marketing Intelligence for the Greater Palm Springs Area. Tell me what they're going to find in here.
So Craig, I think if we just look at what's the difference between these articles and the economic monitor, the monitor is meant to be the facts and figures and data and an analysis of it, and then what I call intel, which is early insights on developments that are happening and who's coming up next in housing and commercial development and these types of things.
Population
This
updates.
is the population and demographics, the whole outlook in terms of where things are going in the economy. We cover everything from retail sales, commercial real estate. So this is heavy stuff, but there are thousands of people that need this. When you talk about bankers, CPAs, law firms, when I say bankers, sometimes they're getting business plans tied to loans. They need to think about what's going on. No one else is really doing this on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, $30 a month, and maybe we'll work some deal out for Coachella Valley people at some particular point as this show goes on. But you're going to get this for an annual subscription. Very easy to sign up. 24 issues a year. That's 2 a month.
2 a month.
And that's a lot of information coming in to make.
And we cover all the sectors that you would imagine we would cover. And again, we don't editorialize. That's what GPS Business Insider is for. Right. Is to in the retail and the residential real estate side, we're just putting charts and analysis and highlights from the cities and why this happened there, why this happened there. On the GPS Business Insider side, we're editorializing. We're talking about it in a different way, more of a newspaper article outlook, and that's the difference. But glad to do a special deal for the
we're gonna work something
Coachella
out
Valley
just
folks.
to be able to give you guys a little of that information in your box, maybe a trial and things like that. So you guys, if it's valuable and you see the value in it, you can continue and maintain it. We only have about 10 more minutes, so I think we should skip ahead and
let's do it.
Let's talk about the group industry a little bit.
So the group sector, it's just critical to the Coachella Valley. So this is corporate meetings, conventions, associations have their annual conferences, organizations have trade shows. This is a giant business for the Coachella Valley, and if you know the lingo in the tourism trade, you talk about midweek business. And so if you really think about it, yes, we have these big weeks. We have the Valentine's Day / President's Weekend where you bookend a trip, and some people extend it even more, and you get 4 days worth of time with people. You have spring break, we have other types of the holidays and so forth. But throughout the year, boom, every day in and day out, it's a rough go on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Monday. I've been years past. I remember I was at a United Way luncheon for 700 people in that room, and I said to the general manager at the hotels in Indian Wells, and I said, "What's your capacity today?" Because it was March, and he said 5% on a Monday. Okay, and that's because at that point the group business wasn't really doing well. So that's what we're seeing now. So let's just say that we don't have the tiers and the issues related to the capacity, but if we have a hotel, we're able to sell all of its inventory. It might be at 85% full, an average in the city of Palm Springs, as an example. But then it goes down to 5 and 10, 15% midweek, and so we need these groups to come back. We have so many great groups that come here on a regular basis, and so think about what these people do. They come, they have their conference, they have their trade shows, and then they want to get out. And so you see them on Tahquitz Canyon Way, you see them in different parts of the desert where they're walking down the street, 30 of them at a time, and then another group of 20, and they're going to the restaurants, and then at night they're going to the nightclubs, and then they have golf outings, and they have shows and events within the convention center and the big hotels, and those things are amazing. I've been to several of them, like Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year Award, some of the country's best business leaders, the best of the best, and celebrities and the whole thing come to that conference, and the audio visual, the bands, the musicians, all of this side activity, and most of it is local companies.
And all that's been
gone. It's 0.0
for the last year.
Here's the problem that's even worse is what's not 0.0 is what they're doing on group business in Nevada, that little place called Las Vegas. I saw a Facebook ad just the other day where Vegas is saying it was a group meeting business. It wasn't like, hey, come to the Wynn again. It was bring your group to Las Vegas. We're open for business. And so what really is happening now is what our local leaders are saying is we're not open for business. And so I'll tie it in too here.
And these groups take time to actually book and put together. So these decisions are being made now for what's going to happen over the next 6 months.
Exactly.
So we're not in that game then.
And beyond, right.
Then
so
we're
here's
just crossed off the list and maybe not even considered again.
Exactly, Craig. That's the thing. So think of the worst case scenario. You have a group that's been coming here year after year, and then they say, we come in October because it's what we call shoulder season. It's less expensive overall for everything. And then they have to say, we don't know. We don't know if we're going to be open. Well, meeting planner just can't wait and not do all of the meeting planning. So they have to do it. So now Arizona is ringing the bell. Texas is saying, come over here. We've got this. We've got that. Right now, you can make your plans. And so you might think, if you're watching this, to say, well, who the heck would have a meeting anyway? Well, a survey by the leading entity in the group business sector in terms of the media side did a survey recently, and they say that 81% of the meeting planners in the United States that responded to the survey, a representative sample, a big result, 81% said that they plan to have at least one in-person meeting in 2021. 60% of them said that they would have it in the later part of the year. So here's the point: is our local Convention and Visitors Bureau, among hundreds of other bureaus in California and special groups and the hotels that have trade shows and conferences, have just asked the governor in a letter and a public relations campaign to say, give us just some level of certainty for the future. What might be? Why don't we have tiers? We can do meetings better than restaurants can do restaurants because of the ways that they can keep people separate and the way they're used to doing
our own
things.
Convention and Visitors Bureau, the big convention that we have downtown Palm Springs that had all kinds of things coming here, isn't happening still. So the convention center is closed, so we just, if it's not open, we're just not going to get people here. If we don't get the people here, then we're not going to have the hotels and all the hospitality industry filled up, and on, and it's just a wave of effectiveness.
Yeah, this is pure economic impact, Craig, and I mean that's really the deal. This is economic impact. So people come here, they spend dollars. Anecdotally, over the years, I can't count the number of people that I've met who went from having a business convention here, where they came and they were in Palm Springs for the first time. That walk through the airport, you look up and you see the mountains right there, and some of us like me fell in love with it immediately. It happens a lot. They find their way back and they tell their spouse, hey, we could go and play some golf down there, hang out by the pool, tennis, pickleball, the whole thing, hiking, all this great stuff, and they come back. And then they come back again, they rent something, and then they buy a place and they become part of our economy. This is all shut off right now and on the group business side. So we got to get it going. All they're asking in this sector is for some guidance, some level of certainty for the fall even from the state to say, this could be your capacity if you do these things. So if you have these guidelines, this could be your capacity, and then they can start going down the list and booking meetings instead of saying bye-bye. And then to your point, which I'll wrap up with.
Just real quick. I'm just going to turn out our little light here because our connection changed up. So I'm going to get you guys a little better spacing for us. So there you go. Welcome to live. Hope you can see us.
Yeah, we're still here. We're still in progress.
There you go.
But I think the thing is, so we got to get this going, because I think your point that you made is, when a meeting goes from here or anywhere to another place, those people are going to fawn all over them. And any sales rep that knows anything, which these people are really good at doing this, they're going to do multi-year deals. You got here now, let's sign this, but here, we're going to juice it up for the next 2 years. We're going to make this so attractive to you. We want you to sign this 3-year deal. And then we've lost it for 3 years. Okay, it's happening. It has happened already. I think what's my number? Let me take a quick look so you can see the magnitude of this, Craig, and our friends watching. We lost 310,000 room nights.
310,000 room nights. So
hotel room nights.
It's $100 or $200 a night.
But the I'll save you from doing the math on the fly.
Thank you.
$208 million of economic impact for Coachella Valley. Okay, that's real economic impact. That's direct spending by visitors and the induced effect of the other businesses that are getting it and spending it. So we're losing to the other states, and it's right in front of us. We need guidance from the governor and the state on group business. We need it now. That's it.
So there you are.
Yeah.
There you are. So I just was checking, and we are on. I don't know if we have some sound. Let me see if there's some sound. Yeah, there we are.
We're still alive. Okay.
So, guys, we thank you so much. You've been tuning into the GPS Business Insider with Marra Intel, and I'm Craig Campbell for CoachellaValley.com. Every single week we're coming at you Thursday about 12. That's the time that we're looking at. And we're going to be talking about market intelligence, the economics throughout the Coachella Valley and the greater Palm Springs area. I consider Bob a friend and an expert. And of course, we were featuring MarraIntel.com, and you could get into his website. You have a feature also about businesses that are, I don't want to say smaller businesses, but they're local businesses, and you're highlighting. And what's the name you have a name for it?
Yeah, it's a series called Thriving in Challenging Times. And so I just love the stories that I've heard, so many of people just through grit and determination, creativity, courage, and working together as a team, great management, have fought off real big problems and fought their way through and have emerged okay, at least okay. And some have done better than they've done in years past, just because of all these dynamics we keep talking about. And so if you're
I was going to
say
that. So that's the reason. I was going to say, so that's the reason I brought it up, is that Bob and his team and staff are looking for those that are interested in telling their stories, inspirational and otherwise, and just helping build and encourage all of us that are in the same boat. So you can contact MarraIntel.com, very easy to get a hold of Bob. And if you're interested in having your business featured or interested in just chit-chatting with us, writing or other types of things, and of course, Coachella Valley is always about events and about businesses, and you can reach out to us for distribution, advertising, and other types of things, of course. And that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I mean, I've got thousands of people that are, business people, public sector leaders that are looking at the platform that you saw earlier every week, and so love to tell your story if you or someone if they're thriving in challenging times. Simple as that. I'd love to talk with you and help tell your story. There's no charge for it. I just want to focus on some really good things and try to help people.
All right. Well, with that, Bob, thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate
Craige.
you coming in. Right here in Palm Desert, we're doing this live right in front of you. So if you have any comments, continue to add them. We're going to follow up. And for you that don't see this live later, because many thousands of people end up watching the show after the show or in replays, you can always add the comments still. And Bob and I will take a look at them and answer as many as we can in the best way that we can. So MarraIntel.com, CoachellaValley.com, two resources that you're going to want to remember. All right. See you guys next time.